everyone.
I'm back, baby.
It's Jake Ciely.
I'm great. Everybody else sucks.
Oh,
no. It's every nightmare I've ever had.
Excuse me?
It's time to check the link.
Pretty crazy, huh? But it doesn't matter because none of this has anything to do with the show.
You know what? You just made the list.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time. Really? No.
What is up, you ducks? Fresh off 4th of July. When's Canada Day, Chris? The 1st? Right?
The 1st, yeah.
First is Canada
Just a couple
Day, so
days
happy,
before.
Yeah, happy late Canada Day to all you guys up there on Game Plus and everything like that. If you want to check out FTN, code ALLIN, get you 20% off. The rankings projections, Jeff Ratcliffe, all out there. Check out Meaney, at Chris Meaney. Make sure you follow him there. The Athletic, like I said last week, normally I give you theathletic.com/betstv, all capitals. So your first month is free. But it's still going out. I think it's about to end, or it depends. You might get it, you might not. But it's $1 a month if you get it. Just go click on my rankings if you're not a subscriber, and it'll pop up whether or not you get it. If it's not $1 a month, I think it's maybe $2. It's like 50 cents a week or something like that. But there's an offer out there that's better than the first free month is basically what I'm saying. What's also better than that, Chris, first of all, I'm laughing at Taylor Ward. I watched the video during the intro of Taylor Ward getting picked off at first base.
Loser.
Just standing. What? Why did he try to catch the ball? That's my bigger question.
I think Altuve was just trying to fake him out, like, hey, I'm going to throw you the ball. And then he's like, oh, okay, throw me the ball. And then he did throw the ball.
It was Maldonado. It was the catcher who was behind him, too. It wasn't like, anyway,
I'm telling you, man,
that's
in
the complete
room,
sidebar.
Bad news bears, the Angels. But yeah.
So everybody's not here to watch us, Chris. Here's the sad fact. I appreciate Albert. I appreciate our loyal viewers. But this is why I did this. Everybody's here to get a Scott Fishbowl entry. That's what they're really here for, because I'm giving away a Scott Fishbowl entry to 12. Yeah, I know. They all came for that. They don't care what we're talking about today. I should just randomly drop it in a mid-conversation of how to enter and just tick them all off. But that's what they're here for. But here's why I did it. Because a lot of you guys do love the show and do appreciate, and the YouTube algorithm and Twitter, it's the algorithm kills us sometimes. So trying to build it up a little bit. I will tell you shortly, I won't make you wait till the end. But for today's show, we're going to continue the wide receiver roulette wheel. Some more names, Chris, to see if you want to stick or continue with the spinning. I added a little wrinkle. I threw in quarterback and tight end 4 times total. So it's like if you didn't take this wide receiver, you would have had to have taken a quarterback or tight end. I didn't give you the names because I'm going to save that show for a completely different show. So a little bit of a wrinkle for there. So for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, we're going to spin the wheel. Chris has to make the argument for why the player's better, even if he thinks he's worse. But before, also real quickly, Chris, 4th of July, do you guys, this isn't like a Canada. Do you guys do anything just because I know it's an American holiday, but do you still like have the day off and grill and cook out and all that type of stuff?
I hit the links.
You go golf.
golf
You go golfing more than I do. I played in high school and college, and you go golfing more than I do.
I go 2 or 3 times a week. I try to get out there early in the morning before Mean Streets happens. Yeah,
what's your
on
handicap?
Thursday, but I like a 14. Nothing special.
Oh, okay.
I go to the course hoping that I can get sub 80, but it's usually anywhere from like 82 to 92. I've shot in the century.
What's your best score ever?
It's golf. 77 is my best score ever, which was like 8 years ago. No birdies, just 5 bogeys this casual day. But yeah, I'm not a scratch golfer by any means, but I do like it. I do get out there. It's just nice. It's peaceful. Just kind of, just kind of get away a little bit. But no, nothing. Even though I've been working for American companies for years, it's kind of like feel like July 4th is kind of my day too.
It's just a free day off.
Yeah, but I did take part in the Independence Day Invitational on Sirius XM yesterday. So it was a 2 tight end league. It got real crazy. 3 tight ends in the first round. 7
Speaking
in the
of
first
that kind
2
of
rounds.
stuff, Scott Fishbowl. Make sure you check how the scorings and lineups and all that type of stuff, whoever wins. Or if you're just in general, make sure you check that. The reason I'm giving it away, too, is because work is so heavy. And granted, Scott Fish is in flex, so I kind of feel bad doing this to him on the way. Like, it's so early and my terrible luck. Usually half my team has been decimated by week 1. And then the way that the league works, like, I just sometimes forget. And I told him I don't want to be that guy. So I'm going to give you this option, too. I'm hoping everybody out there just wants to take the team over. If you want to co-own it with me and drag my name down in the mud, or actually even you might do better than me, pull my name up. If you want to co-own it with me, you're more than welcome to, and I'll help you draft and do the draft with you. But if you just want to run it by yourself, I have no problem with that. Chris, real quick, before we move on, golf, last thing. My best score is 1 off. Do you think it's better or worse than yours?
I think it's better.
Nope, 78. Yeah, you beat me. You're better than me. One stroke. So
it's still pretty darn good though.
It is, but I don't think that's since college. Let's start middle pack this week, and then we'll kind of work our way through. So right off the jump, so I did Chris Harris's podcast this morning. Make sure you give that a listen to. Shout out to Chris Harris, really good guy. The one receiver, we talked about the teams. We were talking about the NFC East. Michael Gallup still, as of today, is a question mark. And it's a question mark of whether he's ready for week 1, whether it's going to be like Saquon Barkley last year where he does play in week 1, but he's not 100% himself until the end of the month. So his ADP, Chris, right now, he's wide receiver 54. Are you intrigued by Michael Gallup, or do you want to spin the wheel and see who you get? And by the way, James Wood. Let's see if we get. Yes, of course, I am wearing blue jeans. I am always wearing blue jeans. I wore blue jeans on July 4th out in the sun. Bad mistake to help Nicole run the duck.
Wow.
Parade.
What's your deal? No shorts? Like I did see something trend on Twitter as somebody said that. Did you see that tweet that if you like a guy shouldn't wear shorts unless they were like had to wear them for work, or I think like something else, like maybe to the beach.
So I generally don't unless I'm at the beach. I wish I would have worn shorts, but here's the biggest problem, Chris. When I'm out and if I'm in shorts and I live in Virginia, there's a good chance somebody might try to grab my legs, fry them in deep like the chicken, basically, is what I'm saying. If you can't get it, so I could get that out of my mouth. They are the chickenest legs of all time.
You just have to embrace them, right? Get a little color on those chicken legs, and then a little bit tastier, I guess. But
so anyways,
I'm shorts all the time. And I am going to spin the wheel on Gallup, although I am intrigued. The fact that he could have a larger role, and he should when he's healthy. He could start the season on the PUP list. So I'll roll the dice here and see what other wide receiver I can get.
All right. And that might not be a wide receiver. You might have have taken some a little bit later. There we go. Quarterback. Right out of the gate, we got one that you have taken a quarterback instead of Michael Gallup. So ADP 54 overall. That puts him ninth-ish round. So. All right, I'm assuming you're okay with the quarterback at this point. You got to make the argument that the quarterback's the better play right now.
Yeah, I would agree. So what are we looking at here? So Gallup, what kind of quarterbacks would I get instead of Gallup? So yeah, I'm seeing NFFC.
That's what I was about to pull up.
Fields, Tua.
That's a little deep at quarterback. I was thinking it was going to be a little bit high.
Maybe a little higher than that. A little higher than that. I did a Minnesota Vikings team preview on Mean Streets today, and I was actually surprised looking at Kirk Cousins' numbers. Like, he finishes quarterback 11. Now, nobody's ranking him as quarterback 11. He's not going to go as quarterback 11. He's going to go outside the top 14, 15. Do I want him to be my single quarterback? Probably not. I think I'm fine with him as my number 2 in Superflex. I honestly, at those quarterbacks, I'd probably just take the upside of Michael Gallup, although I have nothing against, Justin Fields potentially. But these guys to be my single quarterback, I probably made the wrong call there.
Okay, well then I'll steal a question from Harris.
I would love Carr, by the way. I would rather Carr.
But most of the others now? Well, so Chris Harris, when we do the preview, he's like, what news could change this offseason to make you change your opinion? And that's how we're looking as of today. What news on Michael Gallup could make you say, ooh, there's not even a question in the world. I'm taking Gallup 10 times out of 10, as in he could be a wide receiver 3. What would you have to hear from now until the end of July?
Just that he's potentially going to be ready to go week 1. That's it. That's all I would really need to hear. And even if he misses the first couple weeks, it's not a huge deal. I think this is why we're getting a little bit of a discount drafting this early. Like you said, you draft early and sometimes things don't work your way. We know this news with Michael Gallup. So if we could hear something that he's on the field, maybe he's running a couple of routes. It looks like maybe he'll get one preseason game in, just play a couple snaps, and he's ready to go week 1. It's super exciting. No Amari Cooper on the squad. They bring in James Washington, I don't think he's going to be a real factor. Tolbert's just a rookie. The offensive line it's not as strong, but it's still solid. It's still a very good offensive line, and Dak's another year from the injury. So, overall, he should be, when he's healthy and ready to go, it should be a nice 1-2 punch between him and CeeDee Lamb and Schultz in there as well. But I think I'd rather Carr. I'm excited about Derek Carr this year.
A little hesitant on Derek Carr. All right, so one more player, and then I'll tell you guys how to win Scotch Fit Bowl, and we could just see like the viewership just from there on out. We still love you guys. Anyway, this is so fair. All right, let's jump up to the top end. Wide receiver 28 off the board. Chris Godwin. Talk about injuries. As of today, 6 weeks pup, 4 weeks because there's a classification of like IR pup or however they want to start the season. There's a world where I guess there's a slim possibility he's ready for week 1, but definitely wouldn't be the regular Chris Godwin of week 1. But this is similar, and I think you and I have touched on this on a previous episode. It's similar to Saquon Barkley last year. Like, let's say he's not on the full-on pup 6 weeks. It's similar to Saquon Barkley that he's not going to be 100% until October. So do you take knowing how much of the upside is because Chris Godwin, if Chris Godwin's got Chris Godwin, you're talking about a top 12 wide receiver. He and Mike Evans finished back-to-back last year. Do you take that around the wide receiver mid-20s knowing the upside is much more than that? Or do you want to take a chance that you just get a better overall wide receiver from week 1 because that's still a little pricey given all the risk?
Yeah, I think it's a little pricey, and I'm such a huge Chris Godwin fan. I know you are as well. He's an absolute stud. He's a baller. He was great with Brady, of course. He was great before that with Jameson Winston, and at the number 4 one year when he kind of broke out, when it's like, hey, Deshaun Jackson's not in the lineup. Chris Godwin, like, let's go, right? He's just a really, really good wide receiver, but I think that price is a little rich. Is another guy who, like you said, may not start the season with the Bucs. It's great to have them midweek into your fantasy football, playoffs, into the championship, but you got to get there too. And you could get either one of the Denver wide receivers in around that range, wide receiver 20. You get your boy Cooks in around that range as well. So yeah, there could be a bit of a setback. It could take them a little bit to get going. They bring in Russell Gage. I know no Gronk, but Brait. It's a little rich for me. I'll spin.
You spin?
And for the
why
people.
Why should you get Russell Gage, too? That'd be a rate. There we go. This is really good.
Oh, I just saw
Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney. So here's an intriguing one. We talked about this on Harris's show, too. Kadarius Toney, if everybody remembers the one game, the people lost their what did he go for, like 80% of fabs in some of those leagues, like right after that week with the Saquon Barkley game? He got hurt against the Cowboys, and everybody saw it. People going crazy. Daniel Jones back at quarterback. Brian Daboll's in here. New offensive line. Well, improved offensive line, newish with Evan Neal.
Yep.
The offense just alone should be better. Kadarius Toney season 2. Sterling Shepard coming off yet another injury. Darius Slayton not necessarily on the opening day roster from the sound of reports. Kenny Golladay, as you and I talked about, and I lampooned that signing from day one, saying it's not the best fit. So if you're looking for who could be Daniel Jones' version of Stephon Diggs, it could be. I'm making the argument for you, as you can tell.
You are.
But there's significant downside here. This could be a complete cluster. This could be the New England Patriots, and you don't want any of them because one week it's one person, the next week is another. By the end of the season, somebody finishes as wide receiver 37, but there's only good 6 weeks you could have trusted him. So I made all the arguments for the upside of Toney. Is that enough to make you say you still want Toney, or do you want to switch back to Godwin?
If you're letting me switch back, I'd probably switch back to Godwin. But I'll take Kadarius Toney here. I'm excited about Kadarius Toney. I'm excited about, like you said, the offensive line is revamped, and also Brian Dable. Right, this is huge. We can look at.
You're also getting Toney at a discount.
Exactly.
ADP wise.
We could always look at. You look across the league and see offensive acquisitions and new, old faces, new places, all those things, and you always look at just players. But how about the coaching? When we crapped all over Golladay last week. No touchdowns and 37 yards per game. No creativity at all in the offense. Now
Toney
you
had 0
mentioned
touchdowns
the line.
too.
He had what? You have 3 wide receivers score a touchdown. Dante Pettis. I think Shepard may have had one. I think John Ross had one. Like, that's not saying much. Nobody had really a touchdown. But Barkley's the key. Obviously, the play calling is the key. You're going to have some creativity there with the play calling. The offensive line is revamped. You have a healthy Saquon. Daniel Jones missed some time, too. I'm not sold, obviously, on Daniel Jones. He probably has 1 foot out the door. This is probably it for him. We'll probably see some Tyrod Taylor this year. But Kadarius Toney, he had some monster games. You mentioned, without Saquon, but there was still a stretch in there. Just look at this stretch where he had six catches, 10, 3, and 4, and then 7 against the Bucs on 12 targets. was a little confused with that draft pick overall, and I was a little bit confused with the Wan'Dale Robinson one as well. But ultimately, I think there's upside here in Kadarius Toney. If you're giving me one Giants wide receiver to draft, it's him.
And here's the thing: Chris Godwin 5-6 turn, Kadarius Toney 9th round. So,
exactly. When you talk about that, I mean, you're getting some value there on him.
Wes got it. I was going to make a joke. This wasn't how I was going to give away the Scott Fishbowl entry. I was going to say the first person to tell us, because Albert asked where Dante Pettis was. Because the first person, because I know like people could just look it up. I was going to see if anybody could get it quick. Yes, he is. He's in Chicago with the Bears.
What a
with
receiving
that cluster.
St. Brown,
Byron Pringle, Velus Jones, the 25-year-old slot rookie.
I actually like Pringle as like a late pick.
I'm with you on Pringle.
I think he's
but
a pretty decent wide receiver.
Primarily Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet. But that's a topic for another day. Yeah. So, all right, Scott Fishbowl entry. I was going to do what I do to Chris, and I was going to be like, haha, I lied. One more player. But I don't know if you would have believed me to stick around one more player. Here's how you do Scott Fish. This is really easy. By the way, I'm going to go back up. Somebody, Will, posted it. Yes, it is half-point PPR, super flex, tight end premium. If I'm being completely honest, everybody, part of the reason, too, is I hate tight end premium with a passion. I want to burn it to the ground more than anything, and that's part of my hate. I love Scott Fish. I love the Scott Fish Bowl. He does more work than anybody I've ever seen in this industry, especially when he does, just to help the charities and all that type of stuff. But tight end premium, I wrote an article just on how much I hate tight end premium. So this is it's not a live giveaway.
It's all good.
Help the algorithm for one day. We're doing wide receivers today. Everybody out there, all you have to do in the comments after the show, because it's not during, I won't be able to see the comments during the show. You have to do it after the show is over. So you could even leave right now and come back. Look at that. In the comments after the show, your favorite wide receiver sleeper, but it has to be after wide receiver 30. Like, I don't want to Gabriel Davis. Everybody loves Gabriel Davis. I just want your favorite wide receiver sleeper. You give us some topics to talk about another show, and then I'll randomly pick one out of a hat. I'll announce it on the show tomorrow. We are back to 2 days a week, everybody. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Jeff Ratcliffe tomorrow. I'll tell the giveaway, whoever won the Scott Fish Bowl team, and then you can just never tune in ever again. And so that's fun. But please do tune in again. All right.
I agree with Willis is awesome. Like tight end premium, it does make those top 5 tight ends. Like yesterday in that
that's what the entire article is.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey
I broke it down.
4th, Andrews and Pitts in the first round, and then Kittle.
It doesn't make fringe tight end 1s and tight end 2s more valuable. All it does is widen the gap from the top tier or two to everybody else, and it kind of defeats the purpose.
I think Dalton Schultz like 2nd round. I picked 4th overall, took Kupp, and then by the time it came around, I took Schultz. Like it was him or Hawkinson. I like Schultz a little bit more, but my goodness, those top 5 or 6, they really do go. And all your sleepers, all the people that you like Cole Kmet, Irv Smith, your boy Brevin, like those guys. I got Brevin a little bit later on too, but those guys are not. They're getting taken. They're getting taken before 15 tight ends go off the board. They're in there inside the top 15.
So, all right. Well, there you go, everybody. That's how you get in.
Good luck, everyone. Good luck.
Comment afterwards. But again, afterwards, you won't get an entry. That's how it works. If you do it right now, I won't see it. So I see you now, but I won't be able to tally for everything. So do you want to go high or low with this next one, Chris? And I will listen to you. I'm 100% listening to you in this. Right. Do you want to go high or low?
I want to go high.
All right. Second highest one. Russell Gage. I told you he was on this list today. Wide receiver 38 currently off the board. This ties into Chris Godwin, so we can continue with that conversation. There's a lot of people I saw in my own comments when I ranked him inside the top 40. He's just inside the top 40. It's like the disrespect for Russell Gage. It's like, is this Russell Gage? Yeah, enjoy it while Chris Godwin's out. And sure, he'll have fantasy relevance even when Chris Godwin's back, but it's picking those games. It's the number 3 has been the entire time with Tom Brady, whether it was Gronk, whether when Antonio Brown came in. And Antonio Brown had a nice little stretch, but let's also be real. Russell Gage isn't Antonio Brown. Newsflash. This is breaking news on All in Football. Russell Gage is not Antonio Brown on talent level. But wide receiver 38. Do you want to make a quick case for him, or do you want to just spin the wheel and say, you know what, that's too pricey for only getting a brief sample of I guess wide receiver 2 potential value.
Yeah, I mean, wide receiver 2 potential value, like off the hop. But, I mean, once Godwin gets in there and Mike Evans gets in there and Leonard Fournette was top 4 among running backs and catches, he had, 6 targets per game, which was tied with Swift for the most. And he had, I think, 4.9 catches per game, which was more than anybody, not named CMC, who only played a handful of games. So what are we looking at here? Gage is wide receiver, like the option number 4 on this team when they get going. And Cameron Brate now is a guy inside the red zone who had more red zone targets last year than everyone not named Godwin on that squad, more than Gronk. So he's going to be a factor in the squad too. I think that I will pass. I like Gage as a player. I like the fact that Brady called him up and he says, "Yeah, we need you. I want you." And I'm sure that was a cool moment.
Did he call him up,
Gage.
or did he do it in the Did he actually call him, or did he do it?
Apparently, called him. Apparently, he called Gage on the phone and was like, "You want to come to Tampa?" And then a couple weeks ago, I saw a report that he's just like, Russell Gage needs to have a big season.
Oh, that's what I thought you were talking about. I didn't.
No,
Okay, so he called him up.
He apparently called him. Like Gage said, he
called him. That
Brady,
said, we need
Brady
to see more from you this year.
No, like we want you to be in Tampa. We want.
Okay, that's what I was talking about the media report where he said Gage has to have a big season. I thought he called him to say that. Like, could you imagine?
Well, I mean, he's saying it to the media like that's a lot of pressure for the guy, right? The newcomer, but
I'm gonna call
sure
it Meaney before the next show, and I need to see more of you from Meaney. I need to see pick it up. We need a big season from you, man.
Yeah, we need a big season. Like, way to put that pressure. Like Ratcliffe, or if Jeff were to call me and say we need a big season from you, I'd be super nervous about that. But I do expect to.
So
to try
I
to
laughed
have
at Jay's comment that have we ever seen Russell Gage and AB in the same room? That was actually kind of funny. Real quick before we spin the wheel, here's just Albert asked Gage or Lazard. Who would you take?
I think I'd rather Lazard. And I don't want to get into too much of these comments. He is certainly cheaper. He's right now. I'm looking at his wide receiver 51 NFFC leagues over the last 4 weeks, and Gage is going right in around like London, Woods. I'd rather London and Woods. I think even Christian Kirk. I think I'd rather have than Gage. But I mean, Gage, again, he's a good wide receiver. We know how much the Bucs throw the football, but Lazard. And we know about Aaron Rodgers, too. I mean, he just came out recently, and I thought, I don't want to take everything that people say and hammer it home as bulletin material. Like, this is twice in a row I'm going to say something here that a quarterback said about the wide receiver. But I do believe Rodgers, and I think everybody should. Think about Rodgers in all the years prior. It's been Adams and who else? Even after Jordy Nelson. Just like a trust thing with MVS and can't trust this guy and can't trust this guy. He said just the other day that Allen Lazard deserves a larger role as a wide receiver 1. He's comfortable in this offense. He's been in this offense for years. We're really going to trust Sammy Watkins and Christian Watson's nice little upside, but he doesn't know the playbook, and it's a rookie that could just clearly tick off Aaron Rodgers. Allen Lazard, I think these guys are going to be on the same page all year, so all day. Lane agrees. Give me Allen Lazard.
And at least so far, Christian Watson, bad news, not even good news so far. So just to tell you, I was trying to sit back a little bit to get a little bit of the Mega Man T-shirt I got going on here from the early Mega Man games.
It's
nice. Love some Mega Man. You know that. All right, let's spin.
What do we got?
And see. I have a feeling you're gonna like this no matter what because. Oh, tight end! Look, there you go. You just talked up Cameron Brate the entire time. Look at it was listening. All right, let's find Russell Gage in overall, and I'll tell you the tight ends going around.
Okay,
Russell Gage. It is right in front of, not right in front of him, full round in front of him, TJ Hawkinson, so he doesn't count. Let's go with the tight ends right around him. Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, and there's a huge drop until you get to Dawson. So basically those two tight ends. Your choice is Gage versus Goedert and Ertz.
Man, that's a tough one. I almost would probably just take the upside and Gage. It's so weird to sit here and talk bad about someone.
I'm leaning to take that extra round in Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz. Oh, so give me the extra round in Zach Ertz. Sure. No, I can get behind that. If you give me the extra
similar arguments in the fact that look at what Ertz did when he got there when no Hopkins, and he's not going to have Hopkins for the first 6 weeks. And then is it Ertz is the number 2, 3, 4 when Hopkins comes back? How big of a factor is Marquise Brown? I don't know if you heard this, but he's buddies with Kyler Murray. They do eat together.
Last week. Yeah. And I am drinking that Kool-Aid. I really think Kyler's in for a good season. Or Hollywood's in for a good season. I don't know if Kyler's in for a terrific one. But
they played together more recently than Adams played with Derek Carr. So just throwing that out there too.
It was the Heisman year, I believe, in Oklahoma. I mean, Hollywood had 1,000 yards, 90 grabs or so. Career. He can build on that. Zach Ertz, there's 3 other tight ends on that roster, but he's clearly the guy there. They drafted McBride and
yes.
They still got Max with 2 X's.
Max
Williams,
with 2 X's.
Who's kind of carving himself a little bit of a role there before that injury happened, and then they acquired Ertz. I would take, if you give me Zach Ertz, I'd probably take Zach Ertz. I don't feel like I'll have a lot of shares of Zach Ertz for where he's going. I kind of like to maybe get in that tier before and then maybe attack the tier after that. But I would rather Gage than Dallas Goedert. I just feel like Philly's not going to throw the ball as much as Tampa Bay, and he could be the third option inside that offense. We're looking at Hurts, maybe 20, 25 attempts, but nobody threw the ball more than Brady.
I like Goddard, but with A.J. Brown, and if you take the backfield as a whole, there's a chance Goddard could be fourth.
Yeah, I know. And if there was no A.J. Brown, I would have Goddard ranked as a top 5 tight end. Like, he's really good tight end. He runs really nice routes, got good hands. He's used in the red zone. It's just...
Hurts was top 10 in targeting running backs, too, last year. And that's even with, like, that kind of mess and Miles Sanders not being trusted anymore. Okay, so there you go. Now let's go low. I'll go to the very last one on this list.
Someone good.
Oh, this is, I mean, this I don't know, not necessarily good. Rookie, wide receiver 62, Jahan Dotson. Talked about this one with Chris Harris, too. Jahan Dotson could be the number 2, could be the number 4. If you, if you include the backfield and then Logan Thomas, well, as of today, assuming he's healthy. And there's a lot of scenarios in Washington. All we know as of today is that Terry McLaurin's the number 1, and he got a new contract. Everything else, Curtis Samuel, Dotson, Thomas, if it's not Thomas, to go down the list there, McKissick in this backfield. What is Brian Rott like? But in a world where Dotson is currently wide receiver, and I included ADPs this time. I know last time we didn't say you could argue for ADP, but when we're talking this deep, ADP does come into play. Knowing Dotson's wide receiver 62 off the board, are you in or out on spinning that wheel? Because the next person at ADP might not be as attractive.
Yeah,
I'm trying to talk you. I'm trying to talk you into Dotson because Dotson's like.
Yeah, you kind of are there. I think I want to roll the dice. It'd be interesting. I'm interested to see Carson Wentz in that offense, but I feel like I don't think that they're going to let him loose. I think it's going to be. It's not the same offensive line, and they don't have the same running back in Jonathan Taylor. But I don't feel like Wentz is going to be a guy that chucks a lot. It's going to be a team that tries to rely on their defense, run the rock. You mentioned McKissick. He's a couple years removed from 80 catches. I think people are sleeping on Logan Thomas. Remember this time last year, Jake? Logan Thomas was a top 10 tight end. Carson Wentz, if you have any history of Carson Wentz throwing to tight ends and Zach Ertz and Goddard, and my goodness, I think Logan Thomas is going to be the number 2 in this offense. So I don't like the offense overall. They're not going to be a high-scoring team, one of the worst, I think. So I'll roll the dice. I think he's a good buy low in dynasty leagues, but Wentz is not, because Wentz is not going to be the future quarterback there.
All right, so we're spinning, which, by the way, as mentioned, when we started talking about Alan Lazard, the comments gone. Like I should have made the contest if you still comment around the 35-minute mark inside the actual live show. So we're spinning the wheel on Jahan Dotson and getting another rookie and Garrett Wilson. I have a feeling you are very happy with that pivot to Garrett Wilson. Or
no, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Okay. Safest quote unquote tier 1 rookie in the draft. Potential lower ceiling than other tier 1 rookies, and I'm putting that in quotes because different opinions out there. His situation is not without questions, though. We have Elijah Moore, who showed what he could do in a brief sample last year. Some of those games with Zach Wilson, some of them not. You have Corey Davis is coming off that big contract in a disappointing season. You have now one of the better duos at running back in Breece Hall and Michael Carter. They're still trying to do something at tight end, but there's risk with Garrett Wilson. I'm kind of trying to downplay it a little bit because I feel like this is just an easy.
You're downplaying a little bit. I mean, there could be more targets for Dotson, but it's still obviously another bad offense here. But I think he's if we're taking both of them side by side. I mean, Garrett Wilson was my favorite wide receiver in the draft. I think he's an absolute stud. I think he's.
Are you surprised to see that his ADP is the 10th, 11th turn? That low? That feels super low for Garrett Wilson.
It does feel a little
I'm using NFFC, which for everybody out there is pretty predictive. It does skew towards like league winners. Like we talked about on the Athletics show, Travis Etienne is really high. And it's because, oh my God, this backfield could be his. No, James Robinson, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So you'll see some of those like league winning players kind of get really pushed up. Like Etienne's almost in the 3rd round already. So it skews a little bit. But with rookies, I'm actually, as of right now, Chris, he is 1 spot in ADP behind Sky Moore.
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. I'm looking too, like London. Some people are willing to really go after them. You know, London has the min pick of 67. Wilson has the min of 84. Sky has the min of 70. And then on the other side of that, the max for Sky is 358. So I guess that some people are really snoozing, like in rookie wide receivers, and Wilson's 153. But, you know,
real quick for the person
so many questions
who
with both
asked,
of these guys.
Yeah, Elijah Moore's ADP right now is number 69, and Garrett Wilson is 114. Should those be closer too, Chris, to add to this discussion?
I think probably. It's not a lock that Elijah Moore is going to be the number one guy here, though. Like he's really good, and you mentioned the games that he had, and some of them were with Wilson. But before the Corey Davis injury, it looked like he was the guy for Zach Wilson. Like he was having an okay season. You're right; it was disappointing you suffered the injury, and it wasn't great overall. But that's why I guess I think that there's so much uncertainty with this pick and where the ADP and how it's all over the place, just because it is the Jets and there's a lot of mouths to feed there. And you mentioned the two running backs and then the two tight ends, Conklin's there as well. But I think I just, like, in terms of, you know, him and Dotson, I think Zach Wilson can be okay. I think he's going to be okay. I know we didn't see a lot of greatness from him. They've done a good job over the last couple of years of drafting skilled players and offensive line.
Okay, to compliment a player.
Because, like, everyone's all over him. Like, everyone thinks he's already, like, a bust. I just don't feel like that's fair. He had some decent moments. Now, this is year 2 as a quarterback. His head coach was in year 1.
If I was trying to set you up on a blind date and I said, they're okay, like, as my compliment.
It's like, that Seinfeld episode when George is like, does she have hair? Like, I really like hair. Does she have luscious hair? Like, oh, what's her nose look like? What's her body type? Does she have
for Bubs, nice wide receiver sleeper outside the top 30? You can do whatever. You can do my ranks or ADP, whatever. Just don't pick, and don't pick Gabriel Davis. He doesn't count. Everybody's sleeper wide receiver.
Rising up the board too.
He's in the top 25. Rashad Bateman's in. That's why I said after 30, because I was throwing those guys out because they're basically everybody's right now. And if you were watching live, everybody, you saw my face because Jay dropped the nice emoji, and he 69. Knows he's trying to get me started on why I hate the fact that the nice 69 comment is wrong. And I won't go on my South Park rant today. The source material is wrong. But anyway. All right, Chase Claypool, wide receiver 47. I'm just going to make this one for you. We joked during the draft. I did your show. We did this show afterwards. And a lot of talk. We joked to say Claypool announced the better wide receiver. But George Pickens is not without concerns. George Pickens, is a rookie, has off-field concerns. They're much better teams to go to and coach like Mike Tomlin to alleviate those concerns. No. Arguably, look at what he did for Antonio Brown for years. That being said, still, Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback, potentially Kenny Pickett at some point. Could be Kenny Pickett as week 1, despite what the reports say. So there's a lot of questions with this team, too, and that's why I bring him up. Claypool at wide receiver 47, or do you think there's just too much here where he might end up being the third wide receiver and you're just out on Claypool? Where are you?
He says that he's the third best in the NFL, did he not? Did he say
mean
that?
On his team?
I think he meant on his team. Yeah, I think he meant on his team. There's no question. I'm out.
Are we including Freiermuth? He might be the 4th best.
He might be the 4th best. Well, we know Najee Harris is going to catch more balls than
Chase 5th best.
As well.
We're moving him further down the list.
We're moving him further down.
He's not even 3rd best on his own team.
We're so hard on him. Old Canadian boy. He had some big moments last year. I think he had, a 4-touchdown game or a 3-touchdown game. He was really efficient inside the red zone. There was using some end arounds, but I have so many questions about this team. A lot of them do surround around the quarterback. He is a deep threat guy. I'm sure like Trubisky and Pickens can get him the ball a little bit easier down the field than Big Ben did last year. I think I'm confident in saying that. But ultimately, where you gave me the ADP and you said 46, 47, whatever you said, I mean, Robert Woods is in around that range. Drake London's in around that range. Yeah, I think those two guys I'd much rather have. There's a lot of uncertainty here with Chase Claypool. I'm rooting for him. I like the confidence that he has in the swagger. But I'm out. Spin the wheel. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. I want to get you to regret. Hopkins. That's an easy one, even with the 6 games. I don't know.
Yeah.
For everybody, the last
games.
show we talked about Marquise Brown. and Meaney,
like
and
Brown.
what especially talking about it with Stepmon Lawrence, very in on Marquise Brown. Hopkins got pulled into the conversation. I'm actually glad he came up this show because this is like Godwin, but it's not an injury. It's just a suspension. You know what's going to happen. You know he's out for the first 6, and then when he comes back, he should be, which is, I put this in quotes because that was the question Lauren brought up. He should be Hopkins, but what if we've seen this is all declining years for Hopkins at this point?
I think it is the start of the decline. I really do believe that. It's part of the reason that I like.
We're only 2 years
Hollywood
removed
so
from
much.
pure
I know.
talent. Hopkins
It
is in the
happens quick,
conversation
man.
to be the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, it happens quick. His hands are never going to go away. His hands are phenomenal. I just felt like he wasn't really creating a lot of separation last year. He's very touchdown dependent. He's still going to get his touchdowns. He's going to be a great target for Kyler, especially inside the red zone. This team really needs him. They were awful without him. I think they were like 2-6 or
Kyler
something
took a
like
huge
that
step back without him, too.
Kyler took a massive step back. You're right. But I mean, I'd rather take the upside in Hopkins at this point. I was just looking at Chase Claypool's game log and just seeing he scored double-digit fantasy points in a full point setting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 5 times.
Yeah, 16.
I mean, he's got games here with 3 points, 1.9, 4.7.
So he's discount Deshaun Jackson is what you're telling me?
Yeah, I think there's probably get 2 solid weeks out of the 6, and I get Hopkins the rest of the way. So, but I will say from a redraft standpoint, I'm out on Hopkins. I don't want to mess around with guys that are going to miss the first 6 weeks. As injuries just pile up, and all of a sudden, if you get another wide receiver, somebody that you drafted early, and all of a sudden I just feel like you're so far behind the 8 ball with all these. Then you got to hang on to this guy. You're stashing him. You just get yourself in trouble, I believe. I just cross them off.
Yeah, so Lane pointed out that some leagues, some IRs allow for suspension. 2 things. And I am the leader of many IR spots in your leagues. Yeah. I hate non-IR leagues because I know people sit there and say, oh, you have to make a tough decision. No, that's not what IRs... You had bad luck. Why are you double penalizing a team because they ran into injury, poor luck? And I'm not even making the argument of like the Barclays of the world. Look at the injuries that happen every year from people who have never had an injury in their life, and just freak injuries happen. I hate that. So I'm saying that to say I am a champion for 4, 5, 6 IR spots. With, by the way, as soon as they are not on the IR, you got to get them off and can't set your lineup until you fix that. But I will say also, if your league allows suspended players on the IR, that's where I say, that's a decision you need to make. Do not allow that. You need to make the decision if you want to sit on that 6 games on your bench, suspended players, or whatever it might have been, like in Antonio Brown's situation.
I don't play in any leagues that allow that, but I mean, we're talking, that's a game changer.
Sleeper
now.
does,
like
my fantasy league does.
Yeah, I know you
can.
can. You can do it, but we don't. But I don't we don't have any of that going on in our leagues. He's suspended. I mean, you want to stash him, by all means, stash him. But I mean, now we're talking different thing, Lane. So
yes.
yeah, if your league
I am Team
allows
Jock
that,
until we get to this, then I'm Team Fam. If you put suspended players on the IR, I'm Team Fam.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know which way that worked.
Sure. I mean,
right.
Would you take him if you could stash him? Now we're talking him going as a top 20 wide receiver, probably. If you can stash him.
Yeah. Well, Who's
would.
20th? I
I
feel like
wouldn't.
even at 20 at wide receiver, I'm starting
it's
to feel
certainly
like
rich for me.
DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, Allen Robinson at 20. I'm still taking those guys. Cooks at 23. Why do we still hate Cooks? Why? Seriously, why do we still hate Cooks? You start talking
Look at this
Judy
shit.
Mooney at 26, 27, then yeah, Hopkins for sure.
NFFC, past 4 weeks, high stakes, money on the line, wide receiver 28. All those guys that you just mentioned, I'd rather have Cooks, Robinson, Mooney, Sutton, Gabe Davis, Judy. And his min pick is 25. So people are, I mean, I tell you what, this is money on the line. People are willing to take him 25th overall with no IR spot. So you're talking an IR spot
No
in your
roster
league?
moves. And some of
That's right. Some of them are just
like
drafting
that.
whole.
You only get one. Yeah, that really depends. All right, so let's go back down. Second to the bottom. Continue this theme. This works out really well. Continue this theme is potential non-starters for the year. One of the arguable biggest talents in the draft, Jameson Williams. There's a lot of people. Now he's in my tier 1 of rookies before the draft, talent-wise. He wasn't my number 1. I do tiers. A lot of people said there's an argument that he was the best talent wide receiver in the draft. Whether you're on that page or not, I think consensus is At minimum, he was a top 5 wide receiver in this draft class, probably top 3 at minimum. Might not be ready for the start of the season. They might not put him on the pup because they want to get him out there as soon as possible. I've said on this very show with you, Chris, and said, remember that guy Odell Beckham who missed the first start of that season? And what he finishes that year? Top 10. Now, granted, huge volume going his way. Granted, also, Odell Beckham. We know what Odell Beckham a couple of years ago talent-wise, but if we're making the argument that Jameson Williams, on paper, is a talent of that caliber, at wide receiver 61, I don't see. There's no way you're spinning the wheel if you're getting him in the 50s, right?
Right. No, I would take the upside here. I think the price is right for him, but there are a lot of moving pieces there for sure. I just mentioned Swift, was a guy that was with Fournette at 6 targets per game. Hawkinson, they bring in DJ Chark. Amon-Ra St. Brown was really good in this offense last year. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces, but I'm such a Jameson Williams fan. I love his upside. Man, I don't know the number off by hand, but I want to say he had like 8 touchdowns of like 50+ yards. It's Sean Jackson. Like he's got he's that guy better. Yeah, it's a better version of him. Again,
yes, there's every rookie could bomb. We've seen it before.
But what are we talking about here? Watson, Chark, Hardman, Parker, Tim Patrick, Van Jefferson, Dotson.
Let me flip this to you and you're naming only wide receivers?
Just kind of in that range.
Is there a single look down this list? Is there a single wide receiver you would take over and behind him, and then look up the list and tell me like you could probably name 10 wide receivers you take him over?
Yeah, like
maybe more. Like let's you know what? Let's go reverse order. Tim Patrick at 59 is an intriguing one.
It is.
Is Tim Patrick the most disrespected wide receiver in fantasy right now?
He might be. Yeah, he's really good. He's a really good wide receiver. He's got his catch radius is strong. I mean, he can go up and get it. Big body for Russell Wilson. He is getting disrespected. Give me another.
If I told you, no, I want to do one more real quick. If I told you, Chris Meaney, put $100 on the line, and I'll give you 3-1 odds that Tim Patrick outscores Jerry Jeudy, would you make that bet?
No, I don't think it's. I mean, 3-1. You're giving me $100. You give me $100, 3-1. I mean, I'd probably make the bet, but I don't. I would be pretty surprised. I think he has a better chance, maybe
5-1
scoring Cortland Sutton. Maybe if Sutton can't stay healthy.
You can 3-1. He ends up as least as the number 2 fantasy point score, so he can outscore either one of them.
Score one of them. Yeah, I'd take that.
Okay.
Take it. Why not? I think he could. It's Wilson.
I'm pretty sure Ian Hartitz, by the way, I'm pretty sure if he had that bet, he'd be like, I'll do $1,000 at minus 200. Like he'd be like, yes, like because he loves some Tim Patrick, by the way. All right, so
shooting for upside at that point of the draft. I do want to say one thing, Jake, just quickly. I think Goff is very interesting this year. That's it. All those weapons that he has, I think is your third quarterback in Superflex. I think he's a good target.
I've talked down about Jared Goff as much as anybody, but I've also brought up the fact that for 3 straight years, 2 wide receivers with at least 900 yards, actually 900 together, both of them, 1,000 together, 1,100 together, top 30 wide receivers together. They keep doing like Jared Goff. Granted, he has T.J. Hawkinson and DeAndre Swift, but well, you know what? One of those years, he also had that Todd Gurley guy, who's so. And yes, it's the Rams offense versus the Lions offense, and we're not telling them to take them inside the top 20. It's just I'm with you.
Going well outside the top 25, even like 25, 26,
intriguing.
27.
So let's go up this list real quick before we do the last one, before we get out of here. So Tim Patrick's aside. Jameson Williams versus Jacoby Myers. Williams?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Myers didn't even score
MVS? Williams?
Yeah.
Okay. This one's interesting. Williams versus Landry.
I think I would take Williams there too.
Okay.
I mean, Michael Thomas starting to run again, so maybe he's fine.
Is he? Maybe? Question mark?
I don't know.
Michael
I just
Thomas?
take the upside.
Question mark?
I take the upside in Jameson Williams. We'll get a couple deep balls from him this year.
Jameson Williams or Kenny Galladay?
I don't want anything to do with Galladay, man. I just don't.
Kenny Galladay with any other quarterback not named Daniel Jones.
Yeah, probably, but I don't know.
Jameson Williams or Christian Watson? We're taking Williams, are we?
Yeah, that one's really close. I may lean Watson there, but Definitely Williams is
Tyler Boyd?
I think a much better athlete. Ooh.
Rondale Moore, Sky Moore, Claypool.
I think I'd take Williams over all of those two. I was a little hesitant on Sky Moore, but I'm trying to think about talent. Like, and Williams is like he's going to be a really good player in this league.
Okay. All right. So last one before we get out of here. Just mention his name. Let's talk another rookie. This ended up being a very rookie-heavy show. You know what? Let's not talk Sky Moore. I mean, that's a conversation for another day. Okay. I changed my mind. Right. Let's talk Rondale Moore. Let's go back to these Cardinals because this time last year we would have heard 7,000 reports on Rondale Moore and why this is finally going to be the year for Rondale Moore, and he's just buried and needed the opportunity and the offense and blah, blah, blah. And it's gone so far from the disappointment and the frustration of Rondale Moore that I will phrase the question to you before you even spin, Chris. This is how I'll phrase it to you: is there's no DeAndre Hopkins. Everybody's all over Marquise Brown, who's coming in to replace DeAndre Hopkins. Is Rondale Moore as wide receiver 52? Has he gone so far down the disappointment spectrum that his ATP has now made him, I want some Rondale Moore?
Yeah, I think I like his price. If we're talking about his price and his ADP, I like the price. I think there's a ceiling there, and I believe we saw it at times. I have a feeling,
but I'm still spinning is coming.
Yeah, clearly there was some inconsistencies there, and I don't know if all of that was on him. I think, do we play him in the slot? Do we play Christian Kirk in the slot? Like there was all that going on. But I mean, we saw some games from him. Looking right now, 11 targets, 11 grabs, 51 yards. He's never going to be a big A-dot guy. That's just not his usage. Another one, Minnesota, 8 targets, 7 grabs. That's where everyone freaked out. He had 114 yards and a touchdown. Everyone went bonkers for him on the waiver wire. And then his next game against Jacksonville, what do you have? 2 catches for 1 yard. So like he's not an A-dot guy. I think there's more value for him in a PPR league, but I do believe he's going to carve himself out a role this year. AJ Green, we saw the best of him. I don't think he's going to be able to churn out another 800 yards. And no Hopkins, like we said, for 6 weeks. I'm fine with the price. I'd be willing to roll the dice on him, especially in a full point setting.
So you're not
but
spinning.
I love spinning the wheel.
I know.
No, I'm not. But I do love knowing who that.
Nah, we're spinning. We're spinning.
All right, spin.
No Rondale Moore. Oh, that's too easy.
Cooks. It's a huge win. Huge win.
Let's just put it this way. What the hell is wrong with people? Like, how many times do we have to do Brandon Cooks? Like, is this fatigue of Brandon? Oh, actually, you know what? Is this we know Brandon Cooks is finishing as wide receiver 18 every damn year, and that's just why nobody wants him?
Yeah, I don't know, Jake. Is it? It may just be because
he actually played better. It's just because last year with Davis Mills.
Texans. That's it. He did. Davis Mills actually not bad. Offensive line is okay. I don't have it handy. Air yards, free tools. Actually, I could probably find it on the fly. I want to say
what areas are you looking for target share of the team?
Yeah. Cooks right here, 39% of his team's air yards, which was
there you go.
5th behind Jefferson, A.J. Brown, McLaurin, and DJ Moore. And he had a 28% target share, which is top 10. I mean, Kupp, Adams, Jefferson, Moore, Deontay, DK, AJ, Mooney, Cooks. Why wouldn't you want a guy that's going to get basically double-digit targets every single game? And he's good.
You know what? If I hadn't made that disclaimer, everybody could say Brandon Cooks is your favorite sleeper because somehow he still qualifies as a sleeper because nobody ever wants Brandon Cooks. And yet...
No. I feel like you were the one that really pushed Cooks last year as like a top 20 wide receiver, and he still went like late 20s.
I know.
Everyone always sell high on Cooks, sell high on Cooks. It's like, I'll just take him if you want to give him up. Volume is king, and there's a lot of questions.
I was far from perfect last year. Everybody, hey, look, it's wrong on Mike Davis. Completely wrong on Mike Davis. I thought 280 touches was incoming. Didn't think he'd be good. I just was expecting the 280 touches. But nobody ever wants to talk about the 9 good ones. It's just Mike Davis. CJ Anderson, everybody, for everybody's been around as long as I have, and Chris Meaney on the show.
A lot of good calls, dude.
Yes, a good call is also following Chris Meaney at Chris Meaney. You see what I did there? A good call is coming back to the show tomorrow with Jeff Ratcliffe to find out who won the Scott Fish Bowl entry, and good luck to everybody there. So, again, Tuesdays and Wednesdays going forward 2 p.m., and then August is going to be 3 days a week because fantasy football is already almost here. So, have a good day. The rest of the day. We love you guys.
See you tomorrow.